Sometimes in order to see the light, you have to risk the dark. Welcome to Primary Technology, the show about the tech news that matters. Tons of news. Apple Intelligence is in the iOS 18.1 beta. I have it on my main device. We're going to go in deep and talk about all the features there. Lots of AI news. OpenAI announced their SearchGPT feature, plus the Friend, new AI hardware. We're going to see if I bought that or not. Logitech is considering a subscription mouse, and a ton of other news. I'm one of your hosts, Stephen Robles, and joining me as always, my good friend Jason Aten. How's it going, Jason?
It's good. I only have one beef to pick with you off the bat, as I think
please.
That's the second Minority Report quote you've used.
Wait a minute, really? Is it the second one?
I don't know. I thought for sure we've done.
I'm
just talked about Minority Report several times in context of all of the AI things, but
well, I'm actually impressed you got that quote. That you actually knew was Minority Report.
I feel like this is a challenge. We never officially made that, but after last week. Pulling the dress or Independence Day out of thin air. I was like, let me just see if I can do this.
That's going to be my goal. My goal now. If you're new to the show, what I do is actually quote a movie at the very top of the show, totally out of context, apropos of nothing, and then I think I'm going to see if Jason can figure out what it is. So I'm going to go more and more obscure quotes.
Okay, well then I'm going to not be able to get them. Watched a lot of movies, but yeah.
Yeah, but tangentially, I try to find it tangentially related to what we're going to talking about. And today, because I literally put the 18.1 developer beta on my main iPhone, I feel like that was apropos. That in order to see the light, you have to risk the dark.
Okay. That is what well, my other question for you was, because I know we did get some feedback about our overemphasis on sports on this podcast. And so I just wanted to know how much Olympics you have been watching, Stephen.
As someone who usually cares nothing about sports ball, I actually get into the Olympics. Okay. I even got Nomad's France special edition, the watch band.
You know that they're cutting your head off for that.
Well, we're not talking about the opening ceremony.
Okay.
That is not on the agenda. But no, I have been watching a bunch of Olympics. I enjoy the Olympics. I also, this year, I've enjoyed like the TikTok commentary on the Olympics from just random people talking about the stuff. Anyway, that's going to be the bonus episode, Jason. We're going to talk about the Olympics, and I think the social media angle I think would be interesting about that too. So anyway, we don't have any 5-star review shout-outs from Apple Podcast Reviews. So what we need you to do is let us know in the Apple Podcast, give us a 5-star rating and review, and would you pay an annual subscription for a mouse? Because Logitech thinks one day you might do that. We're going to talk about that. So leave us 5-star review there. But I did want to start with a community question. This comes from social.primarytech.fm. We have an amazing community, almost 200 people now interacting and engaging, and it's a lot of fun. And this was actually from Steve Penny, listener and watcher. He actually went to the Relay 10th anniversary in London, which is amazing. And he met Casey Liss and David Smith from Widget Smith. So super cool that he got to go to that. And congrats to Relay. They did their 10-year anniversary, which is awesome. But he's in Finland. We have a very international audience, Jason.
That's great.
Yeah,
I love that.
And he's considering an Apple Vision Pro, but is not sure about the whole App Store situation. The Apple Vision Pro is available in the UK, but not in Finland yet. And I know that I've heard some people finagling certain things like creating an Apple ID based in another country and setting your region and language to a different country. And he's wondering if he did all that, would he be able to access apps on the App Store in Finland? To which I don't think so, but I'm asking the audience out there watching and listening, if anyone out there has done an Apple Vision Pro in another country and has made it work, and it's not like totally just bonked with like not being able to do anything, let us know. And maybe we can help out Steve Penny as well, get his Apple Vision Pro. But you still using it? I see someone on Threads now every day asking, does anyone still use Apple Vision Pro? And I can't take the time to reply to all of them. But I want to say, yeah, I know one guy.
One guy, that's me. I'm still using it every single day. I did see this in the community, and I actually thought that this thread was going, or this post was going to go in an entirely different direction. And I thought it was going to be a story of how he wore the Vision Pro to the Relay 10, and I thought that'd be great. You definitely would deserve a shout out for that. So I don't know if it'll work. I don't think it's worth, what is that, 4,000 euros if you also have to jump through all of those hoops.
That's the thing. And it'll probably come eventually.
And,
eventually.
you got to imagine Disney Plus is probably region locked. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's going to know your IP address and know that, like, you aren't supposed to be using this app and all that kind of, I don't know.
That was because I also think not only is it based on the region the iCloud account is based in, but I also remember early on, I had looked it up, that Apple was also using location via IP to block certain things. So you would probably have to use a VPN also to make it all work.
Are there any VPNs on the Vision Pro?
Well, you might have to do it like at the router level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I just reiterate my point. That's a lot of work for a really expensive thing.
Don't do that.
I'm not saying the Vision Pro, hands down, is not worth it. I'm just saying it's not also worth all the extra work, I don't think, yet.
Right. Yeah. All right, Jason. Apple Intelligence. We have our first look on it. Here was my crisis, okay? I was literally getting groceries. This was Monday. I was getting groceries at Publix, as you do. And I started seeing all the posts come in saying, Apple Intelligence, it's available, iOS 18.1 beta, you can get it right now. It's like, oh, shoot. Okay, well, I make videos on this stuff. I should probably make a video on it. I didn't know at the time whether it was available for, like, macOS Sequoia and iPad. I didn't know if it was just on the iPhone. So I had this, like, a whirlwind of thoughts. Do I go buy an iPhone 15 Pro from the Apple Store just for this and then maybe return it in a couple weeks? I'm like, that seems like a lot. Do I see if it's available on macOS Sequoia, which then Andrew Edwards replied on one of my posts. He said, you can do that. I was like, okay, I could do that, but I really wanted to make a video of it on my phone. And I was like, well, I can always downgrade. It's a pain in the neck, but you can downgrade back to like iOS 17 after you upgrade to a beta. So I was like, I'm just going to do it. So I just got home, started the iPhone updating to the beta while I'm putting the groceries away. I was going to do a physical backup to my Mac, but it was taking too long. And I saw that I had an iCloud backup from the night before. And I was like, the iCloud backup will be good enough. And so I did it. I have the 18.1.
YouTubers do that math in a very different way than most people. Like, I have to get this done now so I can get this video up. I don't even have time for a backup.
But I will say, I mean, it paid off in the end. I mean, that video on the the Apple Intelligence features for iOS 18, 24,000 views in like 2 days. So
nice.
For me, that does pretty good. So was it worth it? Ask me in a couple months, because I will say this thing is buggy, and I've had a bunch of people ask, like, should I put it on my main device? Like, listen, the reason why I did it too is I'm less dependent on my iPhone on a day-to-day basis today than I was several years ago when I worked a job where I was like doing more on my iPhone. Now my Mac is really the mission critical machine, and my iPad, strangely enough, because of all the podcast stuff. And I don't run the betas on my Mac Studio or my new iPad Pro. I'm keeping those on 17 and on whatever macOS is. What is it? What are we on now? Sonoma?
14,
yeah.
right?
Sonoma. Yeah. Something like that. So I'm keeping those on the normal stuff. But I was like, you know what? My iPhone, I am going to podcast moving in a few weeks, and I'm a little worried that like I won't be able to hail an Uber or something, but I'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I'll bring my Rabbit R1, and maybe it'll hail an Uber for me. No, it won't. So anyway, it is on my main device. I did it for you, for the podcast listeners, for the viewers on YouTube, and now I feel like I can actually speak to the features of Apple Intelligence as though I'm using it. Like I'm using them every day. I'm getting text message summaries. I'm getting email summaries. All of that Apple Intelligence is happening. There's a lot still not there. Like we don't have Genmoji. We don't have the generative image stuff like in Notes. And we don't, like Siri is not intelligent yet. Like overall.
It's better.
Slightly better, but it can't do the contextual awareness of your information. Like what's my driver's license number? What's my license plate number? Can't do that yet, but it's slightly better. But let me ask you, Jason. I dove in. What are you running the Apple Intelligence on, if anything?
So I did. So I actually was a little bit behind because I saw Joanna Stern, I think was probably the first post about it because she had an article. Clearly, like she knew that it was coming, which that's just how that works. I'm not saying that in a bad way. It wasn't quite as obvious as Marquez posting the Samsung video as the Samsung event starts. It's like
right, exactly.
And then actually there was a behind the scenes video. It's like they'd had those things for like a week or something. I don't know.
Right, yes.
Maybe not that long. But anyway, and then I saw your post and it said something about you have to have an iPhone 15 Pro. And I was like, well, crap. I have a Pro Max. So I thought literally your words were that it was only available in 15 or what is it? 17.1. 18.1. Thank you.
Developer beta.
It was only available in the 18 on the 15 Pro, not the Pro Max. But then I saw you say like, all right, forget it. I'm going to run it on my thing. I'm like, all right, so I'll update. Because I had already been running the beta on a second device, the second 15 Pro Max. And so I was like, that's fine. I'll just update to the 18.1 beta instead of the 18.07 or whatever the heck we were on or some beta, 18 beta, whatever. You know how hard words are for nails. Names are so hard. Anyway, I did. I updated the phone. I went on the waiting list. It did not take very long to be on the waiting list for the phone. And then I updated. I have a MacBook Air that has been running Sequoia. See, we'll just go with that name for now. Yeah. And so then I thought, well, let me update that one to the developer beta 15.1.
That's right.
So I did. And I just got off the waiting list 15 minutes before we started recording.
Yeah, it's weird it took that long. So is it... I missed it. Is it your main iPhone or the back?
Oh, no. It's a second iPhone. No, I'm not a monster. I wouldn't put it on my main iPhone. Actually, here's the thing. I'll just be completely honest.
Yeah.
It's fine. If you run it on your main phone, it's going to be buggy and glitchy. The single worst reason, the single worst like ramification of running these betas, especially this one, I think, on your main device is you're just going to have zero battery life, right? Like for the most part, it's not. That's the biggest hit, I think.
Usually, yes. Although, I don't know if my battery life just wasn't that good before, but I've actually found it to be pretty decent when it comes to battery life on my Pro Max. So
that's just because the Pro Max has the largest battery that Apple has ever put into a phone.
Yeah, but it wasn't great before. Like when I was running 17.5 or whatever, it was a little weird. But anyway, let's talk about the features because Apple Intelligence, we've been able to try some of these features, the summaries, the writing tools, and then I also have some thoughts about Control Center and Photos now that I've been living with it on my main device. So yeah, we should talk about that. But summaries. So summaries are interesting. This is the video I did. I'll link this down in the show notes. But on macOS Sequoia, I show the summaries in Mail. So any email message you get, the little summary button at the very top, you can click it and it will summarize the email there. But you also get summaries for like in the preview, like in your inbox of your messages in Mail. I found summaries to be pretty good. Sometimes they are helpful. If I'm looking at a specific, like an individual message and I click summarize, I find it will reveal certain key info. Although I do find when I have an email chain, so if there's been lots of replies back and forth between myself and someone else, sometimes the summary is pulling like the main key points from like earlier messages, and I get no information on what the latest message was. So again, we're in early days. This is the first, like this is not a review. I'm just saying my experience. I'm curious how it's going to do with like longer email chains because it's giving you one summary for the whole conversation. But for individual messages, I find it pretty good. For those email chains, it's okay. And text summaries have been interesting because when I get a text message, it will show me the summary. And there's this little symbol that you see in the text summaries. I'm actually going to go to what it looks like so you can see it. I'm going to share my screen if you're not watching, youtube.com/@primarytechshow. But this is a text message that you get in Apple Intelligence. And you see this little symbol under Nicole's name, and that's telling me this is not actually the text message. This is a summary. And some of these summaries have been useful. Some of them have been, not exactly what the message was saying, and sometimes like not really helpful. So it's hit and miss, but it's cool because if you get sent a really long message in the notification, like in the preview, you will see the summary rather than a full message. And on the Mac and the iPhone, if you click see more, now you actually see the whole message, which makes more sense. I feel like for a long time, clicking the see more would just open the reply thing, which, makes sense too. But this is cool. So I'm like playing around with it. It looks fun. Have you had any experience like the summaries or anything like that?
Not really the text one because I don't. So it's my backup phone. I do have it signed into my iCloud account, but I'm not just carrying it around looking at it all the time. It's like pick it up to do a thing. So I don't that. But I wrote an article. I know like we can get to part of that, but the whole thing I think that Apple did really well with Apple Intelligence is this.
Yeah.
The summarization of information that you want both in Safari and in Mail. I'm definitely looking forward to the Siri interactions, but I think that this is the kind of thing that is super subtle because it's not like a flashy, super exciting, let's make a weird picture of my grandma with a cape and send it to her in a text message. It's not that, right?
Right.
But this is the kind of thing that every time you use your Mail app, which is a thing people do all day long, it's going to save you a little bit of time, because I would agree that those summaries are not perfect yet, but its ability to pull out like, need to schedule a meeting about this. And the subject line might not have said that, right? And it's so I think it's great. I think that both the Safari and the Mail summaries are fantastic.
I think so too. And even more so, the summaries for articles. So this, I didn't discover in my first video, but this is in my macOS Apple Intelligence video. And it's a little weird because this is different than the Safari summaries that Apple announced during the keynote. That is like a Safari feature. So for Apple Intelligence, when you're looking at an article on your phone or on your Mac, if you go into reader mode, then there will be this little summarize thing. You click it and it will summarize the article you're looking at in a single paragraph. And you'll see that in that action, it's actually, there's like a little Apple Intelligence logo next to the summarize. So this is doing it in real time, meaning when you tap summarize, it's pulling the text from the page, summarizing it, and giving you a paragraph. Whereas, if you remember during the keynote at WWDC, there's a feature coming to Safari that's not Apple Intelligence, which means more people will have access to this. Anyone running macOS Sequoia or iOS 18. That summaries in Safari, including like the table of contents view, that is going to be available, and it's separate. That's actually not a real-time thing. I don't know if you have heard of this, but when that happens, it's actually something happening on the back end where Apple is summarizing these things server-side and providing those summaries in Safari for specific pages. That's why it's not available everywhere. So if you are running the beta and you don't have Apple Intelligence, you will not see summaries on every web page, because that feature is specifically something that Apple has to do proactively on articles or web pages. Whereas the Apple Intelligence feature can run in real time no matter what web page you're looking at, because it's literally pulling from the text right there as you run it. So I hope that distinction, it makes sense. But basically, you'll also, for websites that do have summaries that Apple has processed on the back end, you'll basically have two options. Like you can see kind of the ready-made summary that has happened and processed server-side, and then you could also generate an Apple Intelligence summary based on the text that you're seeing. So is that the understanding you have as well?
I think so. Yeah, so there's an update to Safari, like you described, and then there's also the Apple Intelligence component, which will you can tap that summary. And it is a little bit confusing. I wonder how many people will actually use the Apple Intelligence part, because you have to be in reader mode for that to even do anything. Whereas the new version of Safari on macOS, for example, you'll just have that as an option. You don't have to go into reader mode. It'll just have that. You'll pull it up and it'll just have that summary for you.
Right. And I think it'll be in the highlights area, which the highlights, again, is a different feature where if you're looking at like a business web page or whatever, and you're trying to find the address or phone number, that Safari will automatically surface that for you. So I really like the article summaries. That has been useful. And then the other thing that's available right now is writing tools. There's other little things like Siri improvements and things like that, but writing tools is where you can select any text in an app, and you can pull up the writing tools or tap the Apple Intelligence, and you can rewrite it, proofread it, and then you can reword as like friendly, professional, and stuff like that. And this has been pretty cool, especially you can pull summaries as well. So you can select a bunch of text like I did, add a video transcript, and I had it summarize it. It'll do that. You can also get me like bullet points, like tell me just the key points from this huge amount of text I just selected. It does that pretty well. You can even have it make a table, like a spreadsheet from data. And I did that with a kind of specifically like data points, and it did pretty good at that too. And you can also make a concise version. I think these writing tools are going to be really helpful in many cases. I do wish, you can't prompt it still. And the ChatGPT integration is not there yet, which will be coming later. So it's not like you can select a bunch of text and tell it, make this into a blog post, which is something that ChatGPT could do very easily. This is literally just proofreading, summarizing, changing the tone, pulling key points and or making a spreadsheet out of the data. So it's very much, Apple is not going to add or like, you can't prompt it to do specific things like make 5 social media posts from this text. That's still going to be a ChatGPT function. And once that integration is live, I imagine you'll be able to do that built into the apps. But this Apple Intelligence feature is very much like take the text I have written and either summarize it or take text I've copied and summarize it, make it sound different, give me key points, give me a table, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so you'll be able to copy something that you found somewhere else, put it into notes, and tell it to rewrite it so that it sounds different so that you can use it for something. That's not a way it's supposed to work.
Ish, because you can tell it, there's not an open text box to say, make this sound like this. It's very much like you have these sandboxed options.
Right.
It can be friendly, it can be professional, or you can just rewrite. And you can tap that rewrite button as many times as you would like, and Apple Intelligence will keep rewriting it. But you can't like insert specific qualifications or say in this way or in this style. Like it's not ChatGPT yet.
How long do you think it'll be before Tim Cook decides to start billing you on Apple Pay every time you tap that rewrite button? Not very long. Just every time you tap a button, you're just going to get 3 cents. No. Well, so I think I'm actually a very bullish. Is that the right term? Yes. I'm bullish on Apple Intelligence, generally speaking.
Yeah.
I do think that, I think the Notes app is great, but I don't write anything in the Notes app. And so the ability to write, it doesn't make sense to have that be the place you can go. And I know you can do it in other places, Apple places where you can put text in, all of those things. Yeah, mail is possible. But for example, like Superhuman, the mail app, and I think this as well, will already read an email, suggest a reply to that email. You can tell it to write a reply, and then it will also do that in your voice, because it will just, one of the options you can say is like, analyze my emails that I've written so that you know how I would write this, and have it just do that. And you still can't do that in Apple Mail, right? That's still not an option. And Apple didn't talk about being able to do that sort of thing. Yes, you could say to ChatGPT, here's what someone emailed me, write me a response. But that is not the seamless workflow that I think people are going to expect. So I'm really interested to see where this is going to go, because I think that I would much rather use these features built in. I had a moment where I thought, ooh, am I switching back to Apple Mail?
Yes.
No, I'm not. But well, here's the thing, because every other mail app already does this. They will already summarize your emails for you. The only thing that they don't do, I shouldn't say every other one, but Superhuman and Spark, which are the two that I use fairly regularly, they already do this. The only thing that they don't do is replace the preview in the inbox view with that summary. I can live they will they're going to look at that idea and be like, that's a great idea. Why aren't we doing that? So
what about the priority notifications? Would they do that kind of at the top?
So in Spark, yes, you can. If you say someone is priority, then it'll just shows up in a separate section and it's highlighted so that you know. Okay. And in Superhuman, you have what you call the VIP, which is essentially a sorted filter, like a search filter view. You tell it who the VIPs are, and so then when you click on that tab, it only shows you those. So it's the same kind of a thing in a different way. Apple is just doing it completely of its own, right? It's completely deciding what those things are, and my experience using it, so good at it. But it'll just be interesting. No, I'm probably not switching back to Apple Mail, but I definitely using it as I'm going through, and I'm like, this is actually pretty cool. It's the features they've added. I'm more looking forward to, because and correct me if I'm wrong, one of the things they talked about in Mail is the ability to have different filtered views of your receipts or whatever. There was something they were talking about there, and that has not shown up yet. That's the thing I'm really interested to see. Will it give me better control over how my inbox is organized?
Which I don't think that's an Apple Intelligence feature, actually.
I think you're right.
That was an iOS 18 in that part of the keynote. And so you'll have priority travel newsletters or whatever, and those sections should just be there, which it's not in the beta right now. So we'll see. But I'm glad you said Smart Reply, because that is the other feature that is kind of live-ish. I don't see it all the time, but I do see it in some text messages and in some mail, where when you reply to a mail or a message that has kind of a specific this or this. So I wrote myself an email. I was like, we have a wedding this weekend, chicken or fish. So the Smart Reply will actually bring that up, so right above the keyboard, you'll see chicken, fish, ... And when you choose one of those options, it will actually compose like a full response. It won't just say chicken. It'll say, "Hi, Stephen. Chicken sounds great. Thanks for checking in." So it actually does this whole message with that smart reply. And that is both in text messages and mail. I have seen multiple times when I'm texting someone, they ask me a question, and as I'm about to type on the keyboard, there's like some options kind of pre-made for me, which I know Gmail and there's been lots of features like that for other services, but it's pretty cool. And I haven't used any yet to like a real person. I just did it kind of for that test, but that's there. That's cool.
Yep.
And the other feature, I don't know if this is Apple Intelligence or not, so you have to tell me, but call recording is going to be on iPhone, meaning in the phone app specifically, when you are going to call someone, there's a little record button now in the top left corner. I don't think this is Apple Intelligence. I think this is just built into 18.1.
I think it is actually part of Apple Intelligence because it's not. I was just looking right now to see. So it's under the Apple Intelligence news release where it talks about that when a call recording is initiated while on a call, participants are automatically notified, and once the call ends, Apple Intelligence generates a summary to help recall key points.
So maybe the summary is Apple Intelligence. The only reason why I think this might not be Apple Intelligence is because transcriptions in Notes is coming to iOS 18 and macOS Sequoia without Apple Intelligence. So if you're just on like the public beta right now or you don't have Apple Intelligence, you can go to the Notes app like I was showing here. You can do a voice recording and get a transcription right then. And that is not Apple Intelligence. That's just kind of built in. So the call actual recording part, that maybe you're right, maybe that's Apple Intelligence only, but it's pretty cool. I called myself. I called my Google Voice number. And basically when you tap the little symbol to record, it actually will announce to both parties this call is being recorded. So like the little Siri voice comes on and it says this call is being recorded. Like if you're some kind of customer service call center person, and then it'll start recording and you see it right here on the iPhone. There's like the whole waveform. It tells you how long you've been recording, and then you can stop the recording separate than actually ending the call. So you can just press stop on the record part, then end the call, and then you get that audio recording in Notes, and you get the transcription of that recording as well. So like journalists, this feels like amazing, I imagine. Being able to record just from a regular phone call, get a summary and transcription of everything that was said. Like, look at this. This is super cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I have not had a phone conversation with someone about a story in years. It's
what do you do? What do you do it on? Just Riverside, of course, right?
I just make it. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, it's usually like a Zoom call or a Riverside call. Definitely a Riverside call most of the time, but also Zoom or Teams or Google Meet, which is it's usually. Well, let me put it this way: it's usually not up to me.
Yeah, I did. I did see one. Right. Yeah, which is what Apple uses. Let's be real.
Yes.
I did see someone on social media saying like, "This is going to be great for podcasters." No, don't use this feature to record a podcast because it's going to be low quality and it's going to sound bad. You don't get separate tracks. That's why you need to use Riverside. Disclaimer, I work for Riverside, but I also...
He does not sponsored it. They've sponsored it in the sense that they've let us have Stephen for this period of time.
Yeah, exactly. But I pay for my own account. This is our Riverside account. So anyway, a lot of Apple Intelligence, again, I'll be playing with it on my main iPhone every day because I'm living with this thing. But a couple other iOS 18 features. And before we move on, let me shout out, I'm going to link Jason's article because you talked about the summaries specifically on Inc.com. And so check out that. And like you've been saying here, the best features are kind of boring. That's a good headline.
Well, I mean, they just are. Like, it's not my point was there are things that people will think are exciting that are coming. Right. Image generation, Genmoji, stuff like that, the ChatGPT integration. But I don't think that those are the best features. I think the best features that will actually improve people's like quality of life are these things that we were just talking about, like because people use email all day long. Anything you can do to make your email more useful to you is going to make a much bigger difference in the grand scheme of your like life than the image generation tool, which by the way seems cool but not that useful. Like, it's so restricted. They've put so many such a tight fence around that I don't know that it's the thing where people are going to be like, yep, this is why I'm upgrading my iPhone.
I am curious. I mean, people are going to try and make all kinds of terrible imagery and like inappropriate images, and I'm curious how far Genmoji will allow people to go. But I do think if you were making a presentation, like I was making some slides yesterday, and if I wanted an image of like a microphone, but like a nondescript one, if it can do that in Keynote, which I don't know if it can do it in Keynote. It does it in Notes. That's the demo that Apple did during the Keynote. But if it could do it in the application Keynote, that would be useful. So we'll see. And the one other, I forgot to mention this, was the Apple Intelligence focus mode feature, which if you have a focus mode, there's a new toggle now at the very top, intelligent breakthrough and silencing, which means even if you don't have an app or person able to send you notifications in a specific focus mode, that Apple Intelligence will see, is this important, and show it to you anyway, basically. And it does that. Like, for some reason, my garage door, that notification doesn't come through when I'm in a focus mode, but now it does, because I have the toggle on for these focus modes, and it will, it'll send it, say, hey, garage door opened. And, that is something that I would like to see, so I appreciate that. And maybe I should just add the home to my focus mode as apps. I can send me a notification. But anyway, so yeah, that's the Apple Intelligence focus mode thing. I do want to talk about 3 features in iOS 18, though, that are not Apple Intelligence related. I'm curious your thoughts if you've played around with them. But Control Center. Control Center got a big update. It's very customizable now. You can have lots of controls. And, I went all out and made a bunch of smart home controls on my smart home page. And I have my favorites page, which looks a lot like Control Center did before because I don't know what to do with it just yet. But everything's more circular. There's more circles.
Yes.
That's what I could say here. I haven't taken the time to put like shortcuts and stuff there yet because I already have shortcuts in like widgets on like the Today view of the phone. So I don't know. Do you have any thoughts about Control Center? I'm not sure.
I have none. I have 0 thoughts about Control Center because again, it's not my main phone, but I do think it looks better functionally. Yeah. I don't know. And it's less grayscale. It's kind of weird how the volume and brightness things have colors in them and stuff now. And it's like, I think it's fine. I think it's nice that you're able to, do more things on different screens and add different things. I'm just boring. If you haven't noticed the thing, I just don't care. I don't need that. It's the way it is fine. These are features for people who spend a lot of time thinking about the way their phone should be. And I don't spend any time thinking about how my phone should be. I set it up so that it's functional. And the most thinking I do is every once in a while when an app wants to update, I'm like, have I used you in the last 3 weeks? And if the answer is no, not only can you not update, but I just delete it, right? That's it. That's the only thinking I do about it. And every once in a while I look at the fitness app on my home screen and I think, you're aspirational. I have not opened you in a very long time, but I can't move you from the home screen because then I will never, ever open it. So that's it. That's the extent that I spend thinking about it.
I mean, so the one thought I had was I did try to organize the Control Center more to my liking. And if you find the home screen, like that process of customizing your home screen frustrating, I feel like the Control Center process is even more frustrating. Tapping and holding on controls and trying to move these bubbles in a very confined space. And if you go too far, it says, we'll create a new Control Center page for you. And then it jumps down a bunch of pages. So the management side has been a little annoying, which is, I think, why I have not gone in to customize it even more. But we'll see. I'll leave time. Time will tell on that. Photos has one of the biggest redesigns in iOS 18. I've seen people who have been running the betas for longer be like, they had the full range of emotions. Like they thought it was terrible, and then they thought it was great. I am in the getting used to it phase, so I won't judge it too much. But it is very different. I will say that. Like the whole Photos app organization and how you get to different sections and what you're seeing, it is different. I do like, some of the things like this is the favorites tab, and we just did a trip to New York a couple of weeks ago. And if I go there, it actually has this little video preview at the top and then the still photos underneath. So that's kind of cool. I mean, it shows some interesting things there. And with Apple Intelligence, you'll be able to say, make me a slideshow of so-and-so or this topic or this thing, and it'll do that. So it seems like the functionality is really cool, but I'm not sold yet on the whole, navigation. So I don't know. The jury's still out. Have you had any time with it?
Yeah, although ironically, I've had the most time with it in the Vision Pro, which is it's actually great for the Vision Pro.
Okay,
this
sure.
is a interface that is just designed to be immersive, but I think it's better, but I hate it. I think it is objectively better at doing the thing that Apple's trying to do. The thing is, I just don't want it to do the thing that it's trying to do, which is to surface things. It's making it better at surfacing photos because like that's the thing we care about. I think it might just be the fact that I spent so much of my professional career as a photographer that I am very particular about how these things are organized, and it's very easy for me to I just have this like pinpoint of like, oh yeah, I go there for this thing, or I do this and I can find that footage or that, photo here, and I have lots of albums and I have lots of things. And those types of things are harder to use on the new version. I just want to be able to like look at my photos. And they didn't solve the one thing that I really wish that they would have solved, which is like, you still can't put something like most people just use their library view. Right,
exactly. Yes.
But anything you can't change that view that's not a change global. You can't hide a photo from there or delete a photo from there and still have it show up somewhere else, right? It's not an inbox of photos. It's just it's the all mail thing, right? And so I wish that it was more like I wish that photos was more like Gmail and that I could do whatever I want to them and it was non-destructive. Sure. But yeah, I think it looks great. I just don't prefer it because I was, you've essentially eliminated a layer of hierarchy and moved them into different places. And it's more about like, we just want to show you things, tap here and be surprised, which I think is lovely for a lot of people.
It is cool to see photos you took a long time ago and never went back to look at. So like, yeah, that is cool. I will say I've not done this. I didn't realize that there's like a whole customize area where you can uncheck and check collections and reorder them. And so I need to go in and do that because one of the things I wanted to do was go to my recently deleted and undelete something. And like the amount of scrolling you have to do to get all the way down to the bottom where your recently deleted are, it was just a lot. And I was like, well, wow, that's really far away. And it took me a while to get to it. Or even just like to see your media types of like, it was just way down here at the bottom. And my photos were like way up here. So I need to go in and customize the collections and stuff. But jury's still out for me on that one. I'm not sure how I feel about it. But lastly, the one feature that I can unequivocally say I like and I think is good, RCS. I did not think this was going to be the thing. But as soon as I updated it on my main phone, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I can now text some people I know with Android phones and try out this RCS. And it was great. It was great. It said in the little text field, it said text message RCS. And I'm going to go to the conversation here.
Still green bubbles.
It's still green bubbles. Yeah. But, it says text message RCS. Oh, you can't even see it. It says text message.rcs in the little send thing. I got ellipses. I got delivered receipts. I got read receipts, which it's read. It's not read. I'm sorry. I saw that go around social media again. Read receipts. You read the text. I read the text. They read the text. Anyway, you get all that delivered, read, ellipses, group chats will be better. I'm glad RCS is here. Yeah. I don't know. You probably don't text any Android people, huh? You just say, don't
I do, but I just don't. I don't care. Like,
it's not on your main device yet. It has to be on your main device when you're just going to naturally text someone, and then it's like, oh, I could see that my message was delivered, and I never knew before whether this person got my text message or not.
I'd never think about that unless it's one of my kids, and they all have iPhones.
They all have iPhones.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like if it'll still tell you though if a message fails. Even if it's a text message, it'll say message failed. Like
it's a black box, because sometimes it'll say message failed, and then the person will reply to the message that supposedly failed, and I'm like, you've experienced that, right? It's like
I also just think that, yes, I'm not trying to be just cranky about this. I just think how privileged our life must be that the thing that we really care about is, did I get a notification or a indication that something?
Are they typing?
Listen, these are features for people who think a lot about their phones, and I just don't think that much about my phone. I just use it.
Jason's being ornery. I think this is going to be a great feature. I think for group texts, this is going to be great.
You know what's great for group text? WhatsApp. Every group text I have is in WhatsApp.
Listen, I have literally...
WhatsApp, Steven, WhatsApp.
I use it. I have 2 group chats from that guy that I was just texting. I have a WhatsApp group chat with him and Nate, my friend Nate, and we're in WhatsApp because he has an Android phone. I'm gonna say something right now, and I might get some heat for it. WhatsApp is garbage. Mm-hmm. I do not like WhatsApp at all. The UI, the design, how it functions, I do not like it at all. Plus, it's a meta property. I don't know why everybody loves to defend WhatsApp, but I don't like it. It's not a good app.
It is okay. That's like, yes, it is owned by Meta. Right.
Yes.
But it is also, that's like saying Instagram, it's owned by Meta. I don't know why people share photos with that app. It's owned by Meta. Like there's no. There's no bet. Like it is the thing that you use for that. And WhatsApp for group. Listen, if the thing you care about is group messaging and threaded replies and all of that, WhatsApp is so far superior to messages, not just the going between cross-platform iOS and Android. Like iOS messages, group messages with only iOS people are still trash. Like it's horrible.
What do you mean horrible?
Compared to WhatsApp, just the way that the replies are and the way that things like it is just not a good tool for group messages. WhatsApp is so much better. And listen, you're talking. This is the guy who is not exactly like a Meta fan here, right? I'm just saying that like it is so much better.
Why are replies better in WhatsApp, like in a group text?
I don't know, because Facebook spent more time thinking about it. Oh, you don't mean like the existential, like why are they better? You're asking like the feature,
like functionally. Why do you find it better? Because like I've seen replies in this group chat in WhatsApp, and this is the exact same thing as the iMessage group chat. It basically shows you the message that it was replying to, and then shows you the reply. I mean, functionally in UI, it's pretty similar. My consternation is even simple things like WhatsApp's delivered and read iconography. This very tiny blue check that is easy to miss. And it's like, is that one check or blue check? Like, I think just that clarity of iMessage telling you delivered and read. Like, give me the whole word. It doesn't take up that much space. You're just putting it under the last message. Just do that. I don't know.
All right.
Listen, I know WhatsApp is very popular everywhere in the world. And maybe this, of all the things, this is going to be the thing. I thought the pencil tip in the wrong direction was going to bring out the crowds. We'll see.
Well, I think objectively, this is not. I don't even think this is that controversial, other than between the two of us. I think like the world has just decided that for group message, like especially outside of the U.S., it is less of a thing in the U.S. I thought you were going to say that like the group messages you have were with all the people overseas that you have to like work with. You probably just have to use like Teams for that or something stupid.
I did. Well, when I worked for a travel company, I did use WhatsApp back then because I worked with like tour guides and stuff in Europe and the Middle East. And yeah, they all used WhatsApp. Fine. But even like the way WhatsApp connects to your device, you can only have this connected to one iPhone at a time because it's still based on your phone number. Like that base level decision on how WhatsApp works, I think is inferior to where iMessage can be on it. You can have it on as many iPhones as you want because it's based on your iCloud account, and you could, doesn't matter what phone, whatever, like just that. And that might just be a limitation. It shouldn't be a limitation on WhatsApp though, because you should just be able to create a WhatsApp account, no phone number, like you could with iMessage, and just use WhatsApp and just have like a username. Isn't that? I think that's how other group chats work.
Well, and I assume has to do with encryption and keys and stuff that we don't really understand. And obviously, it's hard to compare the two because Apple makes the iPhone and makes the iOS and makes up messages. Listen, I would rather use messages. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
I like messages. I use it all the time. But I'm just saying for group messages and for group messages that involve people who are not using iPhones, like especially that use case, WhatsApp is just a lot better.
Well, once RCS is widespread, once 18.0 comes to everyone, we'll see. But listen, maybe I'm wrong here. Again, I have like 2 group chats in WhatsApp that I use, and I don't prefer it. So let me know, listeners. Maybe this is the viral decision. I need to make merch about battery percentage, about iPad and Apple Pencil tip, and now something about WhatsApp.
Okay.
I don't know, we'll see. Okay, that's Apple Intelligence, iOS 18. Let's run through some other quick news, and then I want to get to the AI stuff about like friends and whatever. But real quick, I want to say Tim Sweeney had a terrible take on Find My. Tim Sweeney, the founder and CEO of Epic Games, makers of Fortnite and such, he replied to a 9to5Mac tweet about how Find My is available in every country except Korea. And Tim Sweeney's over here saying this feature, talking about Find My, this is Tim Sweeney in his tweet saying, is a super creepy surveillance tech and shouldn't exist. Years ago, a kid stole a Mac laptop out of my car. Years later, I was checking out Find My, and it showed a map with the house where the kid who stole my Mac lived. WTF, Apple? How is that okay? Honestly, that seems like a great advertisement for Find My. The laptop that you had stolen, you can still track where it is and maybe get it back. And John Gruber, of course, he had a wonderful takedown. This one sentence in his article, he said, "Thieves deserve privacy too" is quite the take. It's quite the take. I don't know what Tim Sweeney's thinking. Do you think, is he like broken somehow? Maybe he glitched? I don't know.
That's what the kids say. I feel like this is one of those perfect examples of I don't want to get into a cultural conversation, so I won't. I will just say that we live in a time when we just assume that even the good things that our enemy does we have to find a reason for it to be bad.
Right. Exactly.
This is kind of like the best other example of this was, how is it that Mark Zuckerberg became a hero? Because there was a worse villain, right? Like he was going to cage fight Elon Musk and everyone was cheering for Mark Zuckerberg. Like there's this world where we have to and I feel like for Tim Sweeney, it's just Apple equal bad. And so this feature must just be terrifying, but it's like,
what?
So what you're saying is it's terrible because it works? Like, I don't understand. Like, it is the worst possible. Like, it'd be one thing if it's like, well, I knew someone who was being stalked and the stalker dropped an iPhone in their backpack and then could see where they were. Like, that's not cool. Like, that's a problem, and we should like that was the whole AirTag argument, which is not like that's one thing. This argument, though, is just, I don't think you're saying the thing you think you're saying, because what you just said is to everyone is like, if someone steals your laptop. Actually, Apple did a commercial about this, about someone who like left their laptop in a shop or a cab or something like that and was able to find it. It was one of those goofy ones with what are those, the underdogs or whoever they are, like, and they had to give a presentation. Like, this is that story, only someone stole it, and years later he could have recovered it. It's like, I'm sorry. Yeah, he's broken. He needs to do some deep soul work because
he glitched. That was weird. Anyway, I listened to the Decoder episode with Nilay Patel and the CEO of Logitech. I don't know how do I pronounce her name? Hanneke Faber?
Sounds good.
Okay, she's the newish CEO of Logitech. In the interview, Nilay asked her about smart home devices, and she was like, "Yeah, I don't know if we're selling those anymore." And every HomeKit user was just like, "No!" Did she just announce the death of the HomeKit devices from Logitech? Turns out she was wrong live on the air. Also telling that she didn't know that Logitech is still selling and making Logitech Circle View, which is my video doorbell, the Logitech Circle View cameras, which I also use. So I don't know if that means Logitech's HomeKit devices are not long for this world.
I mean, she's new, right? Like,
yeah.
She was very focused on selling you a mouse you have to pay for the rest of your life. So
So the other thing was she's trying to grow the businesses. She's focusing on more enterprise use cases. And she said in the interview that she would like to figure out how she can sell you a mouse based on a hardware subscription. And she basically said in the interview, if we make a good enough mouse that is beautiful and designed and the hardware is great, I'm like, what kind of mouse is this? I mean, is this kind of diamond?
Does it massage your hand when you're using it?
But like, is it Swarovski crystal inlaid mouse? I don't know.
Oh, but good. Something that would shatter on the floor if I drop it. That's what I want for a mouse.
Glass and aluminium. I tried saying it like Johnny Ive. I couldn't do it. But she was saying if you make a nice enough hardware mouse that people would keep it forever and pay a hardware pay a subscription for software updates for the mouse, which I'm like, I don't know what kind of software would be worth paying annually for a mouse. And I've used Logitech's like software utility to try and program all the different scroll things or whatever. I didn't care for it. I went back to my Magic Mouse. It was just easier and it worked great. So anyway, I just want to say, Basic Apple Guy, he posted this, which is pretty good. He's a Magic Mouse, unlimited clicks annual plan,
Nice.
$25 a year. To which I said, if it had USB-C and I could use it while I charged, I might pay that. No, I wouldn't pay that. I would not pay
I mean, I have an MX Master 3. I think that's what this thing is called. We all know I'm not good at names, but that's what's written on the bottom. So I'm assuming that's what it's called. Yep. And this is a good mouse. It's like probably the most popular mouse among people who don't use Magic Mice. I don't want to ever pay for this thing. Like, a mouse is a thing that just gets grosser over time. There is no amount of goodness you can put into it. There's no amount of beauty you can design into this thing that within 2.5 years, it's just going to be a greasy, disgusting, like, there's just, it's in the bottom. There's like, I don't know what that is stuck in there. I'm not even going to try to get it out. Like,
remember the mice that actually had the roller balls? That's supposed to be.
Yeah, this is a depreciating asset. No one is going to pay a subscription fee for it, even if it included a new one every year. No. And the first thing that I do whenever I use any third-party thing like this is I just turn off all of the I don't need your software. Just whatever the default thing that my Mac thinks it should do, just do that. That's fine.
Exactly.
It's disgusting. The idea and the mouse.
Well, I'm glad we could vehemently agree about mice. After
I will say the Magic Mouse is one exception because the top is glass. Right? Like, it gets kind of greasy, but you just wipe it down with an alcohol little thingy.
Yeah. Yeah, I do have I actually use the what cleaning thing do you use? Do you have anything?
You want to know what cleaning thing I use?
Yeah.
I just buy a box of these.
The alcohol swabs, yeah.
They're like these are what they give you. This is what they use right before they give you a shot. I just open one of these and it's perfect. It's the perfect amount of thing to clean basically anything. So
I still use, everybody raved about the Apple polishing cloth and whatever, maybe it's great, but I do Whoosh. I do the Whoosh cleaning stuff. This is my Whoosh cleaning cloth. I don't know which way is right side up, but the Whoosh sprays and Whoosh wipes, they're great. Whoosh.
I did buy something. I think it's these little things. I don't remember. I used to have one that had, this must not be one of them because it doesn't have a logo, but someone recommended some, microfiber cloth things that you could buy, and you got like a pack of 5 of them. They have a little koala bear on them or something like that. And I just bought those and I've never looked back. You can clean them. You can just let them. Anyway, yeah.
There you go.
This is a solved problem, Stephen.
This is a solved problem.
It does not require a subscription.
Well, yeah. Anyway, I want to talk about some A news. We got to get to the friend necklace. But last week, right after we recorded and published the episode, OpenAI announced their search product, which Sam Altman, I think, for a long time had denied that they were doing. But now it's here. SearchGPT. The prototype is there. You can't use it publicly. There's a wait list you can join, which I joined the wait list right away. Have not gotten access yet after a week. But this is OpenAI's response to web search. It's just going to straight up be a search engine run by ChatGPT.
Yeah, there's probably a device you could buy that would give you priority access to that wait list.
Now, wait a minute.
$400 or $500, you could probably move up a list.
Will this device help me?
I don't think that's going to do it.
The Rabbit R1? What about this device? What about this device over here? Which, I have to say, I was proud of this, and one person actually commented on it. But on my iOS 18.1 Apple Intelligence thing, I put the Rabbit R1 and the Human AI pin just in the background as paperweights.
Those are the most expensive props you've ever acquired for your YouTube career.
It is true. I don't know if I said this on the show, but I canceled my subscription to the Human AI pin, so I'm not paying them anymore. And
so will it do anything?
I haven't even tried.
Okay. I mean, we know it won't even charge because it'll catch fire, but I just was curious if it'll do anything else.
I did get an email that I lost access to my Tidal account, which I didn't use once. I tried to play music from it and never.
Did it come directly from Jay-Z? Did he email you to tell you that?
Yes,
because that would be worth it.
That's what my Apple Intelligence told me. Email from Jay-Z. Your Tidal account is expired.
I would be terrified if that was
that'd
the
be
case.
No. But anyway, this is a big deal. OpenAI doing a search product, and I don't have access to it. We can't talk about it in depth, but this is big. This is like going head to head with Google, the biggest search engine, whose answer to AI search is weird AI overviews and Reddit results. Honestly, this might be something I use a lot. Yeah, we'll see. I'm curious how much it will actually link out to other websites, and will this actually bring, will this steal traffic from website producers and people or not? We'll see.
Well, I mean, it's currently not sending any traffic to websites because it doesn't exist. So unless it steals a significant market share from Google, which also has basically stopped sending traffic to websites.
True.
So generally speaking, websites are just hosed. Either way, the whole AI thing has made that for sure. So I don't know that this will be the thing that kills the websites. I think we can still blame that one on Google.
Okay, fair. Also, speaking of AI, Instagram is now allowing creators.
Steven, this is the worst thing I've ever seen.
This is bad.
And the fact that Adam Mosseri can even announce it with a straight face in an Instagram post is because I like him, but this is worse than the subscription mouse.
This felt like an Onion article.
Yes.
When it first came out.
I had to check the calendar. Are we being trolled? Is it April 1st? Come on.
I saw people talking about this, and I could not wrap my head around, like, is this real or not? Turns out it is real. And Meta is rolling out something called AI Studio, where creators can create custom AI chatbots that are supposedly like themselves to interact with their followers and audience. This feels like dystopian. This feels not great. I understand the problem they're trying to solve because, in all honesty, like, I experienced this, like, for a long time on my YouTube channel. I answered every single comment, even if the comment was like, "You suck." I answered every single comment. I said, "Thank you for your service. Thanks for your engagement." I answered every single comment. And I do my best now to still do that, but it does become harder and harder. And, like, there is this weird relationship. Like, if you care that these people, that people care enough to watch and listen to stuff I make, I do want to engage with them and I do want to reply to them. And the tension of there's too many comments to answer them all, otherwise I'll just be up all night. Like, that is a tension to manage as a creator. I don't think this is the right answer because I can't imagine that would feel good on the audience side.
Yeah.
To message a creator and get a response that clearly it'll be labeled AI. As the interface shows, it's like AI Steven Robles. It'll tell you that it's AI. That can't feel good, right? I mean,
right. Yeah. Well, listen, I am someone who I was so tempted to write an article. That's what I do when I get mad. I threaten into the void to write an article. I don't actually threaten any human or company. I just, in my mind, and I tell my wife, I'm going to write about this. And then I usually don't, and I just get over it. But have you ever tried to get a hold of, like, FedEx or UPS? You can't talk to a human. There's almost no scenario with which you can get to a human being, and it is maddening.
That's why I intercepted my UPS guy for my Apple Vision Pro.
Yeah, I don't even care. Yeah, we have talked about this. I did write actually sort of an article about this. But anyway, to me, what this tells me is, Instagram was a place for human beings to share photos with the people that they knew, right? Yeah. You could follow your friends and it is clear to me Instagram no longer thinks of itself as that. It thinks of itself as a influencer economy platform, right? I hate the influencer economy thing. Listen, the only influencers that I have any support for, I know I'm going to get canceled and I'm very sorry about that, but is like the Division I athletes in sports where they're never going to get paid, but are able to get paid because of the name and likeness stuff now, right? So we know a runner who ran with our daughter who's a Division I runner, and she's posting all the time, like on right. She's like 30,000 followers or whatever, and she's gotten some sponsorship deals for that. Well, professional runners do not make lots of money at any point in their career, so I'm like, good for her. Go, like, you deserve to have an opportunity. But she's actually doing a thing. Like, she's a runner. She's a Division I runner for, like, a university. She's actually doing something, and a lot of the people that I think Instagram is catering to are not that.
And I think there's a distinction between, influencer and creator, whereas I feel like for a long time, and I think there's still a large part of it now, someone who is a creator that might also get brand deals are doing a thing, whether that's reviewing tech products or sharing the news, whether it's their commentary or whatever, Or, even something like a beauty vlogger might be actually offering tips and like helping someone figure out how to do makeup. Like, I think all of those are legitimate. Like, they are doing something. There also seems to be that maybe you're talking about like influencers for the sake of influencing. Like, it's basically a home shopping network style creator. And again, if it's someone, let's say it's a couple doing home goods, if they are legitimately like reviewing products and like every once in a while you actually hear like a negative take, like maybe this product isn't good, I would still maybe say they are doing something. But when it's so clearly just an influencer, I'm going to put them in that category, strictly selling products, which I feel like TikTok has become, like, there's so much TikTok like shop stuff that doesn't feel great.
I just don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't begrudge anybody from like having a hustle and using that. I just don't like the fact that Instagram now sees itself as that's what we're here for.
Yeah, and it does. And honestly, I think TikTok too. I think.
Well, sure. I
see more TikTok shop videos, like percentage wise, than I see stuff like that on Instagram. But I also don't scroll Instagram Reels, and so maybe that is just as bad.
Yeah, and I have less of because I literally see zero TikTok shopping because I see zero TikTok. I just don't even. Sure, I don't even have that app on my phone anymore. And so when they made you create an account to even use it, that was the point where I'm like, nope, not giving you, not signing in. So
I did, yeah. So anyway, this Instagram thing I think is unfortunate. I'm curious how long that lasts, and if it's if anybody.
The shocking thing to me is someone pitched this in a meeting and no one in the room said, guys, this is stupid.
I mean. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, for the last AI gadget thing, I would like to mark myself safe from not having purchased an AI gadget.
I'm proud of you.
I did not purchase this.
This is progress.
This is called
What is it, Steven? Explain it to us.
This is called Friend. They got the best domain, friend.com. It is a necklace that you can buy for $99, and I will put both the website and the trailer in the show notes. This necklace is something you can tap with your fingers and talk to it, and then you will get notifications from your friend as though it were a person talking to you. So think the Instagram AI creator thing, but just a straight up AI persona talking to you. And this feels, again, a little dystopian. Sandwich Video did this trailer, and Adam Lissagore has been on social media kind of like defending this. So again, I just saw this yesterday, but this is basically a device that will talk to you in as much as like in the video, it's someone watching a movie, and the friend send a notification to their phone like, oh, this is a great movie. And I don't know, Jason. Like, I guess the idea is for a companion, like it's an AI companion that you wear, so it's listening to what you say and can respond to it proactively, and then you can talk to it. You still have to look at your phone to see responses. I don't know, Jason. It's a little weird.
Yeah, the only time I think that I would be no, I'm not. I don't ever think this is a good idea. I just don't understand. Like, maybe I have a core philosophical. Like, I love technology. I'm sitting at my desk. I literally sat down to podcast this morning and I had to like shove things out of the way that were, technology related. That I'm like, I have too many things on my desk. I can't podcast with 6 laptops on my desk. Right. But I don't understand why we think that these core social interactions should be replaced by something is not real. Like, and this doesn't seem to me like it's marketed for people who are socially isolated for whatever reason. This is just marketed to people and it's like, why would you market a thing to replace actual human interactions as opposed to filling a need for people who maybe for whatever reason lack that? And I absolutely think that there are people who are in that situation.
Sure.
But I don't understand. I don't know. Even for $99, Stephen, I beg you to not. not buy this.
It is $99, no subscription, ships first quarter 2025. So it's not even coming like in the next few months. But like the example it has here on the website, you talk to it, speak your mind. I'm reading from the website. Speak your mind or gossip about what your friend overheard. Pause. Your friend, and your friend is namely this AI device around your neck, will think for a moment and come up with something good to say. And then you read. Check your phone to see what your friend said. Well, at least we're outside, is the response the friend had to this person. Like this, how it works, this little 3-step process, oh man, it just feels very, I don't know the right word for it. You know, social media is typically painted in a bad light because that's painted as not real relationships, that it's like quasi-parasocial relationships. This feels like not even parasocial. This is like
paranormal. Oh, maybe that's not the right word. Sorry.
Well, but it's close. Like it's close to it. It's like this is not even like this is not a person you're interacting with at all, even if you don't know them. Like even if you're arguing with someone on social media, at least that's another person. Hopefully, for the most part, this is very much literally just talking to AI, and the AI is responding in a way that sounds friendly. I don't know.
It's basically a chatbot that's always listening.
Correct.
And then you can ask it questions, and it will just make up a response about a thing. And the funny part about it is, does it even need to really be listening? Because it could just have 7,000 responses or whatever. But I want to see how outraged Tim Sweeney is about this mass surveillance thing, because I'm like, it's always listening.
Yeah. So, and the website says, when connected via Bluetooth, let me share the screen so you can see it if you're on YouTube. When connected via Bluetooth, your friend is always listening and forming their own internal thoughts. We have given your friend free will for when they decide to reach out to you.
Wonderful. What could go wrong?
That line, that feels weird.
Yeah, because clearly they have not given it free will. Like
that.
To my knowledge, that has only happened once in the history of the universe, where one being gave another being free will, and I don't think that this is it.
I don't think this is it. I mean, to say that with a straight face, I mean, obviously so much programming has gone into like, here's how often you should respond and when, and here's like the frequency of whatever. Like that is not free will. We can get a philosopher as a guest on the show.
This is even more pretentious than humane, and I didn't think that was possible.
Humane is marked as safe from being the most pretentious AI startup now.
I'm sorry. I mean, good for Adam Lissager for getting paid to make the video, but I just feel like I don't know. I don't know if
there's a real. I understand. Like there's a real problem. People feel isolated, and they need to feel relationship or whatever with someone. They need to feel connection. Like I understand. Like that could be a problem. Someone feels isolated. I don't think this is a good answer for that. But I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good answer for that, and I think it's irresponsible to be positioning it as one.
Yeah, I think so. Well, anyway, let's brighten the mood with some earnings. And
well, listen, we can make this really short because we've already gone long, and I know we want to do personal tech in a bonus episode. But the bottom line is, the companies that you thought, they're making a lot of money, right? And the reason, generally speaking, right now is AI. Yeah. Basically, that's the case because most of the internet made advertising. That's just true. Yes. So like Meta, Google, whatever. And Meta it did better than people even expected, right? And it's also forecasting that it will do better in the future. So they're spending a ton of money on artificial intelligence, and those are the areas that investors want to hear that companies are spending a lot of money on. And so investors are thrilled that, Meta's going to do that. And in Meta's case, I will say the one thing that's interesting about it is the reason investors care about that is that Meta is building these large language models of its own, Llama, and it's big news is it's releasing these as like open source. Anybody can use them as the foundation for their model. And the reason is basically they don't want to get trapped into someone else's ecosystem again, because that's literally what happened to them with app tracking transparency, right? That has put them on a course where they're like, we don't want to be beholden to anyone, which as a business is a smart thing to do, like to not be beholden to anyone. So Meta's doing that. Microsoft
Tank. Yeah. What is that?
Well, Microsoft's spending a lot of money right now, a lot of money on hardware, right? Because basically, like OpenAI, for example, runs on Azure, which is Microsoft's cloud business. And that means that they're buying a whole lot of NVIDIA GPUs, like lots of the H100s or whatever that are, what did we just say, they're $30,000 a piece or something like that.
Crazy, yes.
And they spend a lot of money on it. And so right now, like listen, Microsoft, a lot of money, a lot of money. It's just that right now, their AI business wasn't as good as they thought that it would be. Like, that's the way the stock market works. It's all based on did you do the thing we expected you to do, and will you do what do we expect you to do in the future? So
Meanwhile, NVIDIA stock surges.
Yeah, NVIDIA reported earnings, I think, a couple weeks ago. It's just that when Microsoft said we're going to keep buying lots of GPUs, NVIDIA stock went through the roof because it's like, yep, we sell the GPUs. So people are like, great, they're gonna that was really the worry, was that all of this AI build out was sort of already baked in, and that at some point, like, NVIDIA would stop selling all of those GPUs because all the tech companies would have enough, and basically Microsoft's like, nope, we still need some more, please, and NVIDIA is more than happy to keep selling them. So,
the other thing is Netflix, I want to say, because they have their ad-supported tier. So Netflix beat estimates, and ad-supported memberships rise 34%. People will pay the least amount that they need for a streaming service.
Yes, and Netflix had a very good quarter, and I think the interesting thing here is that, like, their philosophy of selling an ad-supported tier worked because they tried to make it the easiest way to get people to subscribe who maybe were password sharing, right? Like, they were trying very hard to make it super easy. I don't think that Netflix is ever going to be an advertising company. Right. What they're doing is they're creating a less expensive tier, and then they have an opportunity to then upsell you to not ads. Right. So you can sign up for Netflix, you can have ads, and then you can so we resubscribed to Netflix. We haven't had Netflix for almost 2 years now. And we resubscribed only because we wanted to watch, there's like a Simone Biles documentary about her comeback to the Olympics. We actually subscribed for that. We did not subscribe to the ad tier. Like, I just subscribed to give me the 4K one because I did not want to watch ads, and I did not want to watch 1080p or whatever on my 65-inch OLED TV in my living room. So I don't, Netflix they basically won. They compare them. Netflix basically says we are the premium content platform, and YouTube is the user generated content platform. Everybody else is just nothing.
That's something. That is something. All right, real quick, let's do a personal tech segment, and then we'll go to our bonus episode where we talk about the Olympics. I just want to know, what Apple Watch band do you use, or which ones do you use?
I have no idea. It's this one that came with the Apple Watch Ultra.
The Trail Loop.
Thank you. This is the Trail Loop, and it's the only one I use. So, but I really liked the braided solo loops. Those are probably my favorite all around.
Yes.
I don't use them because, as I informed you many long times ago, the problem is if you have a braided solo loop designed for a Series 7 or Series 8 or whatever, you need a size smaller on an Apple Watch because the literal size of this is bigger. Yeah, the case is bigger, so you are like doing that. And I'm just too cheap to buy new ones. So I have several of them, and whenever I go back to wearing the Series 7 that I have, then that's what I would use. I also have a Nomad leather.
Oh yeah.
If I ever want to dress it up just a little bit, I do have a Nomad leather one that I also like very much. But I've never changed it off the Apple Watch Ultra. I just always use the same thing.
Well, I will say I'm wearing this one. This is the Nomad
Trader band.
The Sport Loop. This is their 2024 Olympic Games version because it's the France flag. But I was wearing the Blurple, which is the Verge's special color Nomad one. And because I had never had a Nomad band before, and everybody raves about them and posts about them. So I was like, I want to try them. They are very good. I really like the Nomad. They're very comfortable. They're very good. They're like $60, not inexpensive, but I do like them. I will say I still think the most comfortable are the solo loops from Apple, not the braided. Those are comfortable, but the regular solo loops that are like the Fluoroelastomer, the most comfortable.
The ones that pull all the hair off your arm?
It doesn't do that to me. It doesn't do that to me. I don't know. I find it to be, and I sleep with my Apple Watch too for sleep tracking, and I find it to be the most comfortable. And then when I want to dress it up, I go with the braided loops. And I did buy several for the Apple Watch Ultra 1, and I still use them. I got a couple colors for the braided. I have one solo loop, and now I'm using the Nomads. There you go.
Yeah, my biggest problem with the braided solo loops is that they change the colors, and then it's hard to find the old colors, right? And so so that's why I spent a lot of time trying to find like a charcoal one, because you couldn't get it anymore. And I did finally find one. Actually, my wife, who's a saint, like, I don't know how she found it, like eBay or something that was new in box. Yep. But I finally was able to get, because you have to, not only do you have to find the color of the type you want, but you have to find the size that you want. Like, these are not an adjustable thing. So yeah,
I will say I do miss the Milanese loop, because that was the first one I got with my original Apple Watch, like 2015. I had a stainless steel Apple Watch in the Milanese loop, and I really liked it for dressing up a little bit, and it was pretty comfortable, infinite adjustment because it was a loop. And they've never made one that worked with titanium. Like, there's no titanium Milanese. And I do kind of wish there was more from Apple directly titanium, because I've tried Apple Watch bands off Amazon, and many of them are not good. They either discolor or they're not comfortable. My wife literally just got one for hers. She has a Series 7, I think, the larger size, larger casing size. And she got this one from Amazon. She ordered the right size. One side of the band is the proper width for the casing, and the other side of the band is the smaller width. So there's these big gaps on either side. It's like it was $17, and it was like they put the two mismatching sizes, which is wild.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I've never once used that. I've heard people like it. It sounds too fancy for me. And you're saying the reason the Milanese, you need it in titanium. You need like
it looks a little funny.
You need a militanium band.
I need a militanium, which I think I've worn it once, but it mismatches. You know, it's stainless steel, shiny Milanese loop with a brushed titanium, and also the Apple Watch Ultra, I feel like, does not lend itself to a Milanese.
No,
you know,
like I don't even like putting the leather one, the Nomad one. And the nice thing about the Nomad leather ones is that they have a little bit of a liner on the inside of them, so they don't get all hot and sweaty, sticky against your arm. So
that's nice. That is nice. I'll have to look into that. I'll become a Nomad stan. But anyway, let us know if you have not given us a 5-star rating and review yet in Apple Podcasts, what you can do this week. Now, this is just for those who have not given us a rating yet, because I do see some people out there continually giving us ratings, which it doesn't count towards the total.
We do appreciate it, though. You don't have to stop. It's just...
You don't have to stop. It's fine. We're still a 5-star podcast, which, thank you very much. Over 200 ratings.
That's probably going to change this week, and I apologize in advance. But
maybe it's me. My WhatsApp comment. I'm a little scared. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little scared.
Between that and our influencer economy. If you're an influencer, you don't have to leave us a comment. It's fine.
It's fun. But if you haven't yet, leave us a 5-star rating and review in Apple Podcasts, and tell us what Apple Watch band you enjoy using, your favorite Apple Watch band. Of course, you could watch the show at YouTube. That link's in the description. And if you want our bonus episodes, we're going to go record one talking about the Olympics and a little bit of a social media angle for that. And you can subscribe directly in Apple Podcasts, or go to primarytech.fm and click bonus episodes. You can support the show that way, get access to the whole back catalog, plus you get ad-free versions of the show. We do have some sponsors coming up, thanks to 1Password from last week. And you get ad-free bonus episodes, the whole back catalog, when you support the show there. So we appreciate it. And for everyone, just thanks for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you next week.